Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Formula One 2019 Career Mode. Today we go to my home race, the Canadian Grand Prix, so I was very excited coming into this one, except we made a bit of a mistake. I forgot to change out a few parts that were kind of worn, so we are going to be a little bit slower on, or in terms of power. We don't have as much power coming in to this episode, which was unfortunate, but we cut straight to our qualifying laps. Obviously, we had a bit of a fault at the beginning of qualifying, but we'll go straight to Q2, which is as far as I would be able to go as we came through on the last little bit of our lap, heading down the long straightaway down towards the final chicane here in Montreal now as we go down into a quick little right-left, and we get out of there pretty decently now as we head down the front straightaway. At this point, Valtteri Bottas was on the pole, but as we would cross the line, we would go P10 at the moment there, and I would call it there, and unfortunately, we would not make it to Q3 as we qualify P13 here as we get ready to go green for the Canadian Grand Prix. So hopefully we can move forwards and finish in the points. So let's go get it here in Canada.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history. Could be the cause of a safety car today. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Gasly, Max Verstappen and Hamilton, Weber, Grosjean, Perez and Daniel Ricciardo, Butler, Raikkonen, the Rainmaster and Russell, Albon, Norris, Antonio Giovinazzi and Daniel Kvyat. Sainz and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Okay, I know it's your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Don't take unnecessary risks.
All right, Jeff trying to keep us calm as we get ready to go green for our home race here in Canada now, as it is going to be a two-stop. I was messing around a little bit, seeing if I could figure something out to do a bit of a one-stop, but then I just kind of gave up on it. I was like, okay, we'll just stick with the two-stop, but unfortunately, I forgot once again to take fuel out of the car, so that's certainly a bad habit of mine. So I forgot to take fuel out, so we're going to be a little bit slower on these probably first 4 or 5 laps, but we're ready to get going here for the Canadian Grand Prix now from the 13th starting position as we get ready to start our formation lap. Charles Leclerc currently starting P1, looking for his first win in Formula One now as we roll off the grid now, getting ready, and as we came back towards the grid, getting ready now to go green here for the Canadian Grand Prix from that 13th starting position. Now it's 5 red lights. Charles Leclerc leads the way now as it's lights out and we are underway. The 2 Ferraris on the front row, then we got a Mercedes and Red Bull on that second row as Leclerc has to defend his teammate Sebastian Vettel now as they go down into turns 2. Vettel going to stick his nose back up the inside as they come through on the exit of the corner. Vettel on the medium tire, Leclerc on the soft, so Leclerc is definitely going to have the speed here on these opening laps, and he is clear and he is gone now as we come through the next few corners. I sit P13 still just where we started, so not losing or gaining any positions on this opening start as we fall in line behind Daniel Ricciardo here in the Renault as we come through the next handful of corners as we tend towards the end of the lap, still running P13 behind Ricciardo as we go down towards turns 1. You may notice now the little racing line in the corners is down to 2D. I just got tired of seeing the 3D one in the way all the time, so we put it down to 2D. I usually just have the racing line there just to kind of keep myself focused. Obviously, Formula One's the only game actually that I use a racing line in, because the braking, you got to be so perfect on braking in Formula One that I certainly keep it there as a reference just in case now. But as we came to lap 3, still sticking with Daniel Ricciardo as he was all over the back of an Alfa Romeo of Kimi Räikkönen as it goes down towards the final chicane. They're going to go side by side into the final chicane here on lap 3, and this is going to be a huge opportunity for myself as we're going to get the best of both of them and take it 3 wide down the front straightaway with Räikkönen and Ricciardo. We get clear of them both as we cross the stripe heading lap 4 as we go down towards turns 1, so we get a little double pass there as we go down through turns 2, trying to set our sights now on Devin Butler up ahead in the Renault. Certainly a nice little move there on Ricciardo and Räikkönen as we came to lap 8, still just in front of Daniel Ricciardo, and I forgot to show it, but we would actually end up getting passed by Ricciardo on the next lap as I was starting to lose a lot of grip in the car. And like I said, I got passed by Ricciardo on the next lap. He drove away here on lap 9, but we were coming in now this time to make our first pit stop of the day here to put on the medium tires. So we come into the pit lane now just behind Daniel Ricciardo to come through in pit stop 1 of 2. We will be taking medium tires again later in this event now as Ricciardo comes into his pit box, and now we follow through. He is also putting on the medium tires. He's going to exit his box, and now we exit just behind him there. So a decent stop once again from our pit crew. 2.8 seconds certainly could be a little bit better, I would hope, now as we exit the pit lane behind Daniel Ricciardo, now just in the 18th position. Obviously we're going to cycle out up towards probably 12th or 13th now as we come through back safely here on lap 10 of 35. Certainly one of the quicker Grand Prix, it seems like now. 1:13 is our fastest lap right now, so not the best, but hopefully we can improve on it just a little bit here throughout the race now as we would continue to just kind of lose a little bit of time here and there to Daniel Ricciardo. I was certainly struggling to keep pace with him, and as we came to lap 13, he was starting to get up in that big gaggle of cars, which was allowing me to actually close in on him a little bit as we come through the final chicane, heading down the front straightaway. Certainly starting to just reel in Ricciardo when he's in traffic, but when it comes down to just raw pace, he was driving away from me. Obviously, we forgot to change a few engine components, and that was certainly contributing to the lost pace here on the straightaways. But now here on lap 14, actually, as we came to lap 17, still running behind Daniel Ricciardo up to P12 as we cycle through due to pit stops now as we come through the end of this first sector into the second sector. You see Ricciardo certainly closing in to myself as we're reeling him in as he's still stuck behind this traffic. He's dealing with a racing point now as we head down the straightaway, and obviously getting ready to come to pit road here a little bit shortly again, as obviously there's a bit of rain on the way as well, so we have to watch out for that in this race. We might start to see some rain towards the very end, as Jeff came up and told me that in the little weather update there as we come through the hairpin heading down the back straightaway now, just trying my best to find the pace to reel in Ricciardo, and we would be able to get to him because he was stuck behind Perez and my teammate Roman Grosjean. Roman Grosjean just beat me last episode in Monaco, and hopefully we can get the best of him today now as we come to lap 19 at this point, just really continuing to close in on this group of cars. Certainly finding some more pace here later in the second run on these medium tires. Certainly didn't have it at the first run, but now as we came to lap 21 and we have issues up ahead, maybe a yellow flag, and we have a car out of the race. It's actually Antonio Giovinazzi who's pulled over, and Pierre Gasly is also having issues at the same time as he's going to pull over to the left-hand side of the track, and he is going to retire the car as well. Both of them have mechanical issues here past the halfway point in the Canadian Grand Prix. We would continue and now move up into the 10th position at this point here on the 21st lap, running behind Ricciardo and Grosjean, as well as the Racing Point. Perez had driven up past them guys now as we close in on the back of Ricciardo here on lap 21. A chance to maybe make a pass on him with the DRS now as we come through the final chicane. Going to build up the momentum as we go down the front straightaway. Ricciardo has DRS from Grosjean, but we have enough pace to look to his left-hand side as we cross the line, heading down towards turns 1 on the inside of Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian, and we take over the position as we come through turns 2 and now up to P9 we go, setting our sights on our teammate at this point of Roman Grosjean there as we head through turns 3 and down into turns 4. Certainly finding a lot more pace here in the later half of this Grand Prix, and as we came now to lap 22, it'd be time for pit stop number 2 on the day as Daniel Ricciardo would just drive into the back of my gearbox on the entrance to pit road there, which is certainly a weird one. Thankfully we didn't get caught speeding because of that, but he is actually going to have to do a wing change now as we come through, putting the medium tire once again on the car, and this will be our final pit stop hopefully of the day, unless we run into some type of trouble. Now the 2.5 second stop, 3/10 faster just about than our last stop now, as we have just over 10 laps to go at this point point here in the Canadian Grand Prix. We cycled out in P11. Hopefully we can get back into the points paying position. And Ricciardo, he was certainly way behind at this point now after running into my gearbox. I don't know if I slowed down early or if he just had an issue coming into the pit lane. He came in a little hot. I wasn't really sure. But as we came to lap 24, now our teammate Roman Grosjean exiting the pit lane. You're going to see him come out just in front of me right there in the 10th position. So certainly still not able to take over that spot from Grosjean, as we're going to have to chase him down as Jeff comes over the radio saying 10 to 15 minutes or so until rain. So right at the end of this race, it's probably going to rain a little bit, so it's not really going to be much of a big deal. We have yet to have rain actually in a race this season. Now as you head down the front straightaway on lap 25, hitting 10 to go, you see your teammate Grosjean passing Devin Butler, who's actually on the hard tire, so he's on the slower tire right now, but towards the end of this race, his tires are certainly going to be better than ours, so he might have some more pace. But we were certainly closing in very quickly on the back of Devin Butler here with 10 laps to go in the Canadian Grand Prix. And these two DNFs from really Pierre Gasly and Antonio Giovinazzi have really helped me get in to a points paying position. Certainly didn't maybe seem like we had a top 10 car, but right now we sit P10 behind Butler as we get some DRS, and as we came through on lap 26, closing right up on the back of him now as we come through the final chicane, getting ready to make a move as we come to 9 laps to go now, and we're going to look to the right hand side of Butler as we head down towards turns 1. Last time we had a scrap with him, he locked up and shot me wide, but this time we come through to take over the position here in Canada and move up into the 9th position now behind our teammate of Roman Grosjean as we try to set our sights on him. At this moment we were just driving away from Butler as we had better tires, but he would start to stick with us a little bit now. As you see up ahead on lap 30, Grosjean now passing Sergio Perez, who was certainly losing some speed at this point in the race. I believe he was having an issue because we were closing in on him very quickly and we would have to get past him as quick as possible. We came to lap 31 now, looking to the left hand side of Perez with some DRS as we head down towards the right hander. We're going to try and squeeze him and we take over the position now, and now we move into P8 trying to run down Grosjean, but time was running out very quickly just like it was in Monaco. Now as he came to lap 32, Butler, he had gone past Perez as well and he had started to close in on me. The tires were certainly starting to play in his favor, but now as we came to lap 35, the final lap in this race, closing in even more on Grosjean, a half a second between myself and him. Trying to beat our teammate here on this final lap in the Canadian Grand Prix, our home race, as we head down towards turns 3. And we're really going to have to rely on DRS if we want to be able to make this pass on our teammate of Grosjean here on this final lap in Canada. Now as we came towards the final sector, closing in on the final sector, Sebastian Vettel had actually been leading and he was about to come through to take victory here in Canada. Now as we head down towards the final hairpin, there you see it, Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari comes through to pick up the victory in the Canadian Grand Prix. Now as we head down the long back straightaway for the final time, we put it into overtake mode and the fuel is enriched as we activate the DRS for the final time here in Canada. We will get it once again down the front straightaway now, closing in on the back of Grosjean, but it doesn't look like we're going to get close enough now as we head down into the final chicane for the final time here in the Canadian Grand Prix, getting through there as good as I can, but we have oversteered and hit the wall and lose a winglet, but we come through down the front straightaway. Grosjean fights us off to get through and hold on to P7 as the raindrops start falling here as we cross the line in Canada. An 8th place finish once again for us in Formula 1 in our rookie season. I think this is our 4th 8th place finish, if I'm not mistaken.
So, another excellent win from Ferrari. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Alright, so there you see your finishing order on the screen. Sebastian Vettel, he got the fastest lap as well as the race victory. Now we sit, I think I said 10th in the points maybe right there, as Haas still sits P5 in the Constructors. No changes there for a while now here in the Constructors standings, but there you see we sit P10 in the points, 3 points behind our teammate of Roman Grosjean. So hopefully we can get the best of him in France. We might have a chance to beat him there. Obviously, a track I don't have a lot of experience at. I raced there a handful of times in 2018, but hopefully we can best our teammate Romain Grosjean there, as he's now beat us 2 races in a row after that close battle with him towards the end of the Canadian Grand Prix today. Not a bad home race in our first attempt at Canada here this season, so I was happy with it, but hopefully next season we can come around and run even better. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Those would all be very, very appreciated. Lewis Hamilton now has, I believe, an 8-point lead over Sebastian Vettel, and I will certainly remember to change the engine components going into the next episode so we have a little more speed down the straightaways, but we're also going to try and make a few more upgrades going into the French Grand Prix, as the R&D, the other teams, actually do a really good job of trying to run away from you, so you certainly have to do your best to keep up. But I will see you guys in the next one for France, so thank you for watching, everybody, and have a great day.